What is up, everybody? Happy Tuesday, and welcome to our weekly health and wellness check-in. If you don't know me, my name is Erin. I am a master certified nutritionist, a dual certified nutrition coach, a personal trainer. I have certifications and degrees in mindset work and behavioral change psychology. I help ladies, mostly some men. I have a couple of male clients who are amazing, but ladies improve their relationship with food, live in bodies that they love living in, building muscle, supporting health, and diving into anti-diet culture, health-based practices that will help you lose body fat, build muscle mass, improve your energy levels, sleep better, and create health for your entire family. Today, we're going to talk about some healthy lunch meals because somebody had asked for some tips and tricks on what to eat for lunch that falls in line with goals and that are quick to prepare. So we're going to dive into something pretty specific today, but I will tell you that we do have a recipe only Facebook group. It is easy recipes for macro tracking. Now, if you don't track macros, that's totally okay. It's still going to give you a lot of ideas for high protein, high fiber, balanced meals that you can implement and feed yourself and the family. My assistant coach, her name is Melissa. She's been with me for over 3 years now and has lost over 105 pounds. She's a stay-at-home mom. She's a caregiver. She now works with me. She works from home. She's reversed her type 2 diabetes. She has improved her liver function. She has managed some PCOS symptoms. So all kinds of things. She's the one who picks the recipes for the group. So they're in alignment with kid-friendly mostly. Some things you might have to modify, of course, but easy to make and stuff that will fit within your health and wellness goals. So generally, I recommend a high protein, high fiber diet for anybody, regardless of your goals. We want to support our muscle tissue and our metabolic health through protein intake, and we want to support our gut health and mental health through fiber intake, making sure that our gut is happy and healthy. So that's always like the overall picture that I'm going to speak on and that I am going to recommend, but we're going to go into some specifics. So if you need more ideas than what I'm going to go over today, head on over to Easy Recipes for Macro Tracking. As always, if you need help finding these groups that are within my community, please let me know, reach out. I also do have a ton of recipe guides. I have a high protein recipe guide. I have a cottage cheese recipe guide. I have a crock pot recipe guide. I have a winter, I know it's hot right now, so you might not be thinking about that, but it has like soups and stuff in there. Probably have more that I'm not thinking of. So if you ever need anything, just reach out to me. Those are all totally free. I give them out to my community members all the time, and I have them obviously for my clients as well. So we can get you what you need. Usually the lunch meal is really challenging. I see this a lot with people who have, especially younger age children, because you're so busy throughout your day, whether you work or you're staying at home, wrangling the kids, making sure that they're getting out the door to school or wherever they're going, summer camps, that kind of thing. And so we can easily forget to eat lunch or omit that meal or just grab something and go. That's not as healthy as it should be. So I'm going to talk today about some things that you can do to have stuff prepared ahead of time to make it still feel like it's a grab and go lunch without having to go through a drive-through or eat stuff that you don't really want to eat that doesn't really make you feel very good. So again, I'm always going to base my meals around high protein, high fiber. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about too stuff that you can take with you, that you can eat in the car, that you can eat cold, that you can kind of snack on. That is easier. And if you need more intensive recipes, like I said, I have them. Please reach out to me and let me know what kind of aligns with what you like to eat. And we can find you some tips and tricks and recipes in one of the groups or with any of the recipe guides. So some staple lunch meals that I love, and I'm going to start out with kind of a duh moment. And I bring this up a lot within my community spaces. We overlook the obvious because we're searching for something more complicated. And that is generally a part of the diet culture nonsense. Like, it has to be complicated for it to work, and it really doesn't. Simple is what works better most of the time. Yes, there may be nuanced things where you're having some hormonal issues or some thyroid issues or some metabolic health issues or health issues in general where you need something a little bit more complicated. But for the most part, the more we simplify our intake, the more we simplify our movement goals, the more we're repeating things across the board, the closer you're going to get to your goals, to feeling better, to having more energy, to losing body fat, anything that you want to accomplish with your health and wellness, as well as the wellness of your family. So keeping things super simple. So with that in mind, sandwiches. I know that this sounds so obvious, but for some reason, sandwiches have gotten a really bad rep. And I think that has to do with the low carb rhetoric that has been ingrained in our wellness spaces for so long. Low carb is not doing you any favors. It can affect thyroid health. It can affect energy levels. It can affect sleep. We need to prioritize whole food-based carb intake as a majority. So we're consuming, again, enough fiber, and we're consuming enough energy to support our bodies throughout the day. Where carbs kind of have gotten a bad name is the higher processed foods, the chips, the cookies, the cakes, those kinds of things, which actually are usually higher in fat. So if we're demonizing anything, we need to demonize the like high processed food items and the higher fat items. But again, everything fits within a balanced diet. You can have the cookies, the cakes, the chips, those kinds of things, but we just need to prioritize whole foods in general to make sure that our minds, bodies, and health are on the right track. So sandwiches, couple pieces of whole grain bread. I eat gluten-free because I have celiac, so it could be gluten-free bread. It doesn't have to be. So a lean protein source, chicken or turkey, are often ideal. You can use, like, the grocery stores often have the rotisserie chickens that didn't sell from the day before, shredded up. You can buy a whole thing of shredded chicken. That is a great protein source and is going to have less sodium than like a lunch meat or something like that. We also will buy turkey that's shaved off the bone that also has less sodium. Sodium's not necessarily a bad thing, but when we're consuming more processed foods than whole foods, it can add some inflammation and some gut health issues. So if we're minimizing our processed food intake, somewhere between 10 and 20% of our intake should be the more processed foods. And then the rest of it should come from whole food sources, about 80 to 90%, depending on where you are in the journey. As you progress into it and start replacing some of your processed food items for whole food items, it becomes a lot easier. But don't overwhelm yourself with that. Just start replacing one thing at a time that you can, so that you start to fall in a little bit more alignment with your health and wellness goals. So sandwiches, bread, lean protein source, a fat source, which is either usually mayonnaise or a salad dressing, like if you use ranch or something on your sandwich, or you can also use avocado or hummus, which are also going to be fat sources, but a little bit more whole foods based. There's nothing wrong with mayonnaise if you like it. It's a great fat source that you can use, or you can use a little olive oil, or you could use a little butter, those kinds of things. That's going to be your fat source on your sandwich. And then your vegetables. So usually we put like cucumber, tomato, lettuce, sprouts, those kinds of things on a sandwich. So you're going to get basically all of the bang for your buck with that one meal. That creates a super balanced meal for you. And if you need to add more protein, you could do like a side of cottage cheese or Greek yogurt on the side, because it's hard to fit all the protein that you need between two slices of bread usually. So that's what I would recommend. So like a turkey sandwich with the veggies that you like, a little bit of mayonnaise or avocado, and Greek yogurt on the side. You could even add a little chocolate chip to that, so it feels like you're having a little bit of dessert, but you're going to get a high protein, high fiber, probiotic dense, all of the good things in that one meal. And sandwiches are something that you can make the night before. I probably would like add your fat source as you run out the door or as needed. So cut the avocado before you go or add the mayonnaise before you go. That way you don't have a soggy sandwich. Another great lunch item that I've been consuming often are cottage cheese bowls. It's hot, so I've been wanting something a little bit cooler. So I make two different cottage cheese bowls. One is a caprese cottage cheese bowl. So cottage cheese, heirloom tomatoes, or just those little mini heirloom tomatoes or baby tomatoes that you get. I just cut them in half. You can use, whatever tomato you like. I just like to get a little fancy with it. Balsamic vinegar, fresh basil or dried basil, depending on what you have. I usually use dried basil because I ain't got time to wait for, or to pick off basil leaves and cut them. But it is really delicious with fresh basil, of course. So if you have that, you can use that too. So cottage cheese, a protein source. Cottage cheese does have protein, but I usually use chicken because that's just what we have in the house all the time. So I'll cut up a chicken breast, add that, the tomatoes, the balsamic vinegar, and the basil, and some salt and pepper. It tastes just like a caprese salad. It's delicious. The second one I do is a buffalo chicken ranch bowl. So cottage cheese, chicken, obviously. We cook our chicken in bulk for the week, so we don't have to cook it on a whim. And that could be very helpful for you too. You can use your crock pot or you can use your grill, obviously. We kind of go back and forth. We have been more in the grilling space lately, but prior to that, we were doing a lot with our crock pot. So just putting like one or two of those big giant chicken packages that you get at Costco or whatever into the crock pot. I did it with just water, one packet of taco seasonings, and sometimes some green chili, depending. But I could use that for a lot of things throughout the week and just have a huge batch thing prepped of chicken. So that way too, you have protein for your week, for the family, for you and your husband and your kids. And you can just make dinners and lunches with that until it runs out. And then you just start the process over again. But it is a game changer when it comes to time, just having that protein ready to go. So the buffalo chicken ranch bowl, cottage cheese, chicken breast, Frank's buffalo sauce, a little bit of ranch dressing. I get it from Trader Joe's, the buttermilk ranch. That's the one that I use. And then whatever vegetable that you have. Cucumber is great in that too, kind of adds like that cooling off to it. You could do celery, you could do carrots, you could even do a little bit of like raw broccoli. Those things are super good, and it takes about 5 minutes to prepare that bowl, as long as you have your protein source prepared or you have some shredded chicken from the store. You can also use lunch meat in it too. I've done that also. Just slice up the turkey breast lunch meat and put it right into the bowl. So those are two other options. So we have sandwiches, we have our cottage cheese bowls. You can make those sweet if you want something sweet as well. So adding something like berries, you can even mix in a Greek yogurt and some chocolate chips and nuts will give you more of a dessert cottage cheese bowl, tons of protein, good source of fiber with the berries. And again, your probiotics with the Greek yogurt, also protein in that, and it's delicious. So if you're feeling sweet as opposed to savory, that might be the way to go. Or you can save that for like after dinner. I have myself and my clients use those protein yogurt bowls for our dessert a lot of nights, to be able to like quench that sweet craving, but still hit protein, fiber, all of those goals. So those things can be helpful as well. Some other lunch ideas, a giant protein smoothie. And these are things like in the wintertime, I would say lean in more towards soups and chilies, those kinds of things. Those can be really, really helpful when it comes to hitting your protein goal, hitting your fiber goal, because it's easy to get vegetables and fiber, beans, cooked vegetables in soup, and then protein in soup, but it's so hot. So we're going to lean more towards cooler items right now, and then we'll come back and revisit this when it gets cold outside and we need a little bit more savory dishes to fit our goals. You can manipulate it obviously based on the season. I tend to have a little bit less of an appetite in the summer in the hot weather for some reason. So these things kind of help me get my macros hit, my protein and my fiber in, and don't like overwhelm the system with a lot of like heavy foods. So a protein smoothie. I use a clear protein powder. The brand is Seek, and I just get it on Amazon. It is fruit flavored. So you can either just like, that's what I have in here, and I just add water to it. But if I'm using a smoothie as a meal, this is where we want to add more micronutrients. So I'll use a scoop of whatever protein powder that I have, either juice or milk, depending if I have orange juice in the house. Usually I tend to prefer that, but you can use almond milk too, because we always have that in our house. So a little bit of almond milk, and then fruits and veggies that you can blend easily into a smoothie. This is great, especially for people that are on the go. You can make it the night before and then just put it either in your blender cup, or if you have like a NutriBullet, put it in the bullet and then blend it up with some ice in the morning and head out the door, or blend it up with some ice in the afternoon and then head out the door, whatever it is that you need to do. But a couple of scoops of protein powder, or 1 scoop of protein powder, a little bit of almond milk or orange juice, some fresh berries. If you need it to be higher calories, you can add some nut butter or avocado. It sounds weird to add avocado, I know, but that will make it really nice and smooth and creamy. And then some sort of vegetable. Spinach does really well in a shake. You can't taste it, but it adds some of those green micronutrients for you. You're getting a lot of nutrients in there, and you can just kind of sip on it, making sure that it is somewhere above the 300 calorie mark, because we want to make sure our meals are satiating enough so that we don't end up with cravings at the end of the day. So if we're doing something like a smoothie, it can be easy to underfuel ourselves. So that's why I say 1 to 2 scoops of protein, especially if you feel like you're low on protein. Adding a little bit of nut butter to it can help pop up calories. Or like I said, an avocado. You can also, I know this kind of freaks people out, but you can put in a whole egg or egg whites and blend it up in there. But if that scares you, no worries. You can just do it with avocado or nut butter, which everybody likes, peanut butter, almond butter, those kinds of things. And it tastes absolutely delicious in a smoothie. Other things that I do for lunch when I have a little bit more time are, beans are such a great fiber and protein source. So we cook beans now every single week, and it helps me to hit both of those goals easily. So I'll make a quick like taco bowl. We do ground turkey taco meat at least once a week. And so we usually cook enough to have leftovers for 1 or 2 days with our dinner prep. So this is something that you can do too, that can be a game changer for you. If you find that you run out of time and meal prep is challenging, just cook extra with the meals you are cooking. So if you are good at creating balanced meals for dinner, then just cook extra so you have some leftovers for lunch. That way you're prepped for a few days. If you do that every single time you cook dinner, let's say you're cooking dinner at home 6 out of 7 days a week, and you go out one night a week or one lunch or whatever the case may be, then you have 6 more meals that you can use for lunch. You can use for your partner's lunch or your kids' lunch, those kinds of things. But essentially, the important part of this scenario is that you are fitting your health goals in a capacity that's easier for you. So we want to work smarter and not harder. So if meal prep feels overwhelming, prep while you're already cooking. If you cook one like family meal a week, like something a little bit more elaborate, really lean into that and cook something with it. That's when you could pre-prep some chicken breast in the crock pot. So you already have stuff out. You're already doing the hard work with cleaning and cooking and preparing the meal. So keep it all within that span of time. My chicken breast crock pot prep takes about 1 minute, and then you just leave it in the crock pot on low for 8 hours, or leave it on high for like 5 or 6 hours until it's fork tender. And that then all you have to do is wash the crock pot. So dive into ways that you can already have those lunch meals prepared as well. So like you're not having to recreate a meal every single time you need to eat. If you have, like I said, we do a turkey taco night and we'll cook the whole thing of ground turkey for us so that we have a couple of lunch meals with that turkey breast or the ground turkey, I'm sorry, for the next couple of days. If you implement that too, it might not be that exciting, but what we need to remember is that when we are focused on making meals too exciting, then we start to overlook our health. So we can focus in on function first, reducing stress second. All of these things go together. And then if you feel like you need a little bit more excitement in your midday meal prep, that's when you can kind of add in something extra. You'll feel like you're a little bit more in control of it. But first we have to get just the part that's stressing us out off the table, which is just the meal prep in general. So when we talk about reducing stressors in the name of health and wellness, this is what we mean. We can't get rid of our families, can't get rid of our jobs, our bosses, our families. Like all of those things are going to be stressful regardless. But what we can do is make our lives easier through, again, pre-planning, making sure you have stuff in the house to make sandwiches, make cottage cheese bowls, make smoothies, and prep extra for your dinners so that you have some, even if it's an emergency meal later in the week, you're like, oh, thank goodness I have this ground turkey because the kids are getting pizza and I don't want to eat pizza again, or whatever the case may be for you. Have that stuff ready because then you're not either skipping meals or eating things that you don't really want to eat and don't make you feel good. We want to create a less stress environment, less decision fatigue. All of those things are going to help you prepare. So what I also recommend is to eat very similar meals, especially for that breakfast and lunch meal. If you can do that on autopilot, then you can have a little bit more flexibility in your dinner, make that third meal of the day when the family is home and everybody's kind of together, the more exciting meal of the day. It doesn't mean you're not going to like your breakfast and lunch. It's just that it isn't, it's more of a means to an end than something really, really exciting. You can make that your dinner meal because everybody's involved. The kids are home from school or camp or whatever, and your partner is home, your spouse is home, you're eating a meal together. That's when we can get a little bit more creative. But if we can eat similar for breakfast and lunch, that way, like, I really loved this turkey sandwich that I made on Monday, so I'm just going to eat it every day for this week. And then you can reinvent the wheel, do a cottage cheese bowl for lunch the next week, every single day. Then you can do the other cottage cheese bowl, and maybe you have a little bit more time and you make like a taco bowl with black beans and a protein source and avocado and the vegetables that you like, a little bit of salsa, those kinds of things. Like whatever works for you and the time allotment that you have, but allow yourself to be okay with the idea of repeating meals. And maybe if you need some more variety, that's where you switch up the seasoning. That's where you switch up the fruit. That's where you switch up the vegetables, but keep your protein sources and your fiber sources similar. Or your carb sources similar so that you can just eat them on repeat. You have stuff prepped. Like I said, we always have beans prepped for the week. We try to prep rice. We will prep one or two protein sources, usually chicken and beef. And then the turkey taco meat, when we do make it for dinner, we make a big portion of it. So we have it for leftovers on the other days of the week. So don't be afraid to use your dinner leftovers for your lunch, even if you do like whatever the meat you had on a salad. That can work too. And you can put, as you're putting those meals away, put it into prepped to go boxes so that you can take it with you out the door or you can eat it quickly. It's going to be a single serving container for you or your husband or your partner, or whatever the case may be, maybe both of you, to take and run out the door with you. The more that we can plan in advance is going to reduce stressors, is going to reduce decision fatigue. It's going to put you into a more optimal place to reach your health and wellness goals. Make sure you're eating enough, because that's where we start to see energy declines and all kinds of metabolic health issues, is when we're skipping meals or omitting meals because we just run out of time. And that happens a lot in mom life, is running out of time or forgetting your needs because you're trying to take care of other people. So the more, again, that you can plan ahead of time, the better. So for lunches, sandwiches, salads, cottage cheese bowls, you can make like if you don't have the ability to warm it up, you can still make like a taco bowl and eat it as like a taco salad. Super easy. So like black beans are fine cold. A lot of greens, tomatoes or salsa, fresh avocado, zucchini is great. We often add zucchini to our taco meat. You can't even taste it in there, but it gives you an extra green vegetable. And like adding a little bit of Greek yogurt to that's going to give you more protein, taste just like sour cream. Mix it up with the salsa and you have a bowl. You are good to go. I also have a mix and match meal guide that I can send you as well. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Hopefully this was helpful for you, just giving you some ideas of how to create these lunch meals and that are going to help you reduce stressors and still get your protein and still get your fiber and be foods that you look forward to eating. When I say not exciting, I don't mean you don't like it. I want to reiterate that, because we want to enjoy our meals. I just think that we have gotten into a situation, a lot of us, where we rely on them for this dopamine hit. And once we start to get away from that, like every meal needs to be as exciting as the fun meal out that you have with your family on Friday nights or whatever. It doesn't. It really, truly doesn't. You have to like how it tastes for the most part, and it has to fit your health and wellness goals, and you have to feel and be fueled throughout the day. So those things are more important than like being ultra excited. And that usually is a symptom of like needing to fulfill a dopamine response. So if that's the case, we need to look at some mindset shifts towards eating to nourish our bodies and being excited about that, and then planning in some fun meals or things to look forward to, so we still have that connection with our families or our social group or whatever the case may be. But every meal does not need to be an event. We just need to fuel our bodies and relatively enjoy them. Like, I don't eat things I don't like. I'm not necessarily that stoked, if I can say this correctly, about my breakfast and lunch meals, only because they're very similar every day. But it tastes good. It's a means to an end. I feel less stressed out about it. And then I use my fun meals for, again, dinner, being a little bit more creative there, and or a couple of meals out, 1 or 2 meals out a week, that I really, really look forward to, because I have spent the rest of the week focusing on nourishing my body, getting enough protein, getting enough fiber, reducing my stressors by not having to reinvent the wheel every time I need to eat a meal, or not planning ahead of time every time I need to eat a meal. Those things actually pale in comparison to being able to reduce stress and decision fatigue when it comes to eating. So if you pre-plan this ahead of time, again, finding things that you think sound good or look good and then do taste good to you, but you can eat on repeat, is really the method to the madness when it comes to improving your health and wellness, lowering your stress levels, lowering decision fatigue, and hitting those goals that you need to hit to make sure that your health stays on track as well. And this is regardless of a body fat related goal or a body composition related goal. This just across the board, we need to support our metabolic health, our mental health, our physical health, our gut health through these whole food behavioral practices, and minimizing as much stress as we can, because our lives are crazy and stressful. So if you need any of those recipe guides, please feel free to reach out. I would be happy to get them over to you. If this was helpful, let me know. I would love to hear your feedback on my lunch tips and tricks. If you want me to go over anything else specific, I can talk about meal planning next week too. If you like this conversation, just let me know. I am always open to hearing your ideas and what you need help working on. I am here to support you. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.
Struggling to feel your best? When energy is low and nothing seems to work, it's time for a new approach. Here's someone who guides real people to real, lasting wellness. Meet Erin McDonald, certified master health coach, nutrition coach, and NASM personal trainer. Helping you create simple, lasting routines that support a healthier, more energized you. Feel better, move better, live better. Because health isn't just a goal, it's a lifestyle you deserve. Take the first step toward feeling your best. Your future self will thank you. Connect with Erin today.